Good morning. Thank you for joining us for our coffee date this morning. This is my very first coffee date without Captain America. He is busy at church getting ready for his sermon on Sunday. But I wanted to continue with coffee dates. We had quite a lot of good positive feedback. Positive feedback? I can't even speak. Positive feedback. So we decided to continue with the coffee dates, at least for the foreseeable future. So if I was having coffee with you today, I will be telling you about how crazy this week has been. We got back from our anniversary a few days away into the most frenzied weekend that we're kind of still emerging from. We had a pastor who was visiting from Guatemala, who Captain America met a few years ago when he was doing a mission trip there. They ministered together at a conference and in the churches, in a group of churches together, and he was visiting in the US and in California, so we invited him to come and speak. So he turned up with his team. We thought it was just him, but it turned out to be a team, and that was great. There was 3 people that came, and they stayed locally. He was staying with us in our apartment, but unfortunately we can only host one person at a time, so we only have one bed, or one spare bed. So they visited, and we had them here for 2 nights. And that was great. They ministered at church on Sunday. It was wonderful. We had our first service, I think, ever in part Spanish. So we had it translated from English to Spanish and Spanish to English, which was interesting. And it was very interesting having a house guest who only speaks Spanish and about as many words in English as I speak in Spanish. Spanish is not a language I learned at school. I learnt French, so I tried as much as I could to fudge together some words, most of which were actually French, not Spanish. Anyway, it was multiple ways of being awkward. Anyway, so that happened, and then we had another friend come visit, Kimberly Wallace, who is going to be going to Africa at the same time as us. We're actually ministering together on the trip. And she was here, and we were doing some ministry and some prep for our mission trip. So we had 2 back-to-back house guests and lots going on in the meantime, lots of entertaining and hosting, as well as all the normal ministry stuff and additional things. So that was crazy. I was quite ill over the weekend, had a 2-day migraine, which really was great when you're trying to host people. So it meant that we emerged into Wednesday and had to basically do a whole week's work yesterday, which was really intense. We're still fundraising for our Africa trip, and it's really crunch time. I'm going to have my vaccinations tomorrow. That is our cut-off date. There's certain vaccinations that you have to have a certain amount of time in advance of the trip, and tomorrow is the final day. And at the moment, we have enough money to pay for them, but not enough to book our flights. So we are really strongly just looking at all the options and debating what our options really are. We still 100% believe we're supposed to go, but without the money to book the flights, there's not much we can do. So if you would like to support our ministry trip, we would really appreciate it. If you're not sure exactly what we're doing, I'll give you a brief overview. Our church, New Nation Church International, is not just based in Concord, California, where we live. It's actually based internationally. It's actually a denomination that Captain America is the apostle over. So he's one of the founding apostles over that denomination. So we actually have 3 churches currently in South Sudan. We think there might be 4, but because of the communication issue and not actually being out there, we think there might be a 4th one. But there's definitely 3 congregations. Some of those congregations are huge in comparison with ours here. They have about 800 people a week that are attending. Some of them walk for hours in order to get to the church, so that's really encouraging. We have 2 congregations in Uganda, and one of which is meeting on a weekly basis and has just opened their new building, which they've been building for a few years now. So they've just launched that, and that's very exciting. Captain America hasn't actually seen that yet, so he's very excited to actually see it in the flesh. Last time it was just land that they owned, and no permanent buildings. And the other congregation in Uganda is outside of Kampala, and it is we have land there, and there's a congregation meeting on the land for services, but there's no building yet. So that's very much in the early stage. So we know that our vision, or the vision that the Lord's given us, is huge, and it's to plant a church in every nation, and to reach every nation, tribe and tongue for the Lord. So It's not exactly a small vision, and all of it needs funding. So what's been really interesting in this fundraising process, it's the first time we've really fundraised for a mission trip. It's the most expensive one that Captain America's ever had to do, just because of the cost of flights and the cost of everything, and now there's 2 of us going, but we strongly believe that both of us are supposed to go. Somebody actually asked the question how it would go if he just went. As the founding apostle, really he's the major person that needs to go, and he said, I don't think I'd come back alive if I went without Ruth, because the way it works in Africa is that apparently I'm called Mama Ruth. So every time, basically ever since we started dating very seriously, and especially after we got engaged, the whole congregation and all the leaders refer to me now as Mama Ruth. And when's Mama coming over? When will we get to meet her? We're really excited. People sent me wedding gifts. I got jewellery made for me for the wedding. Apparently Captain America's having outfits made for him. People are making outfits for him. Apparently it's one of these things that they do. It's astounding, the love and the generosity that we're seeing from them. And there really is a desire for them to spend time with us, and they really want us out there to help grow their churches and to develop the vision. And that's really what Captain America's calling is. Yes, he pastors the local church here, but really his calling is to grow churches in the nations and to develop leaders and to just facilitate the growth of churches, both new and ones that are already established that just need better direction and more grounding and more honing and leadership and that kind of structure brought to them. So we're really hoping we're going to be able to go. We're also combining the trip with a trip to England, and yes, that will coincide with Christmas, which I'm not going to pretend I'm not really excited about the prospect of being back in England, my homeland, with my parents for Christmas. It's been many years since I've been able to do that, so that bit is very exciting. But aside from all of that, we also feel very strongly when we were there in the summer, we felt very strongly that God was really opening the doors for a strong link between my home church in England, the church I grew up in, and New Nation Church International. God's really been speaking to Captain America about what that looks like and really developing that vision. So we feel that the trip to England is going to be a real good opportunity to expand those links and to grow that area of the ministry too. We always knew that we would do ministry in England, we just didn't quite know it would be there. So we're hoping that not only will it be a great time at Christmas with my family, but also that we can minister in my hometown, which will be very exciting. If you would like to give to us financially, then you will see the link at the bottom of the screen under this video. I'll post the link and you just click on the picture that says East Africa Mission Fund, and it will take you directly to our secure giving site, and you can make a donation of any amount. We worked out the other day, if 10 people gave, and my mum worked it out, no, if 100 people gave $100, I think that's right, we would have all money. If 1,000 people gave $10, we'd have our money. So are you going to be one of those 1,000, or are you going to be one of those 100? But whatever you'd like to do, we'd be really appreciative of it. Anyway, if we were having coffee today, what would you be sharing with me? Have a great week. Bye.